Hey, sorry about the scare at the beginning of yesterday's episode. It was just a little prank, you know, gotta line things up sometimes. Amazing to see the reactions to that though. Nice to know that I'd be missed. But anyway, I've got a big rabbit hole for you. You ready? Buckle up, we're heading in. Boom! And that marks the end of our compilation today, and boy, has it been a weird one. From offending butt sniffers to aliens, from Feng Shui being the devil's work, to the historic collapse of all major civilizations on Earth. Don't tell me that I don't keep you on your toes. If you did enjoy today's episode, please consider hitting that like button. It really does help to reach more Awakened family members, which means we grow our community. And talking of community, we've got a Discord server where the conversations continue well after the video ends. In fact, there's a lot of unfiltered stuff which you can't talk about here on YouTube, so make sure you join it. And if you have been paying attention and you want to actually prove it to myself and everyone else that you're not a robot after all of these hours of watching this episode, comment humanity, because we need a little bit more of that in our comment section these days. A lot of hate being thrown around. I get it, guys. We're frustrated, but come on. Anyway, with that being said, I hope all of you, even the haters, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.